In 1347 at an Italian cloister, Sister Ginevra sees Sister Fernanda has missed morning supplication and later sees her show up with the jackass. Fernanda claims the jackass got away and she needed to pursue it, which Ginevra finds strange on the grounds that the jackass could never have opened the doors. Ginevra additionally considers it odd that Fernanda is wearing her dark propensity in spring. At the point when Jack of all trades Lurco passes by and tells them hello, the sisters holler at him and call him a drag for visually connecting with them since they should remain unadulterated. Later, Mother Maria additionally asks Fernanda for what reason she was missing and gets dubious of the jackass story since it just disappears under Fernanda's consideration, which happens regularly. A while later Maria puts together the racks with Ginevra, who brings her all the tattle about other nuns' bad conduct like eating 2 bits, in spite of the fact that she gets occupied when she sees a mischievous drawing on a book. In the meantime, Sister Alessandra is carrying on with a hopeless life. She would rather not be there, however her dad constrained her to help the congregation. She invests her energy asking and weaving while at the same time trusting one day she'll see her admirer once more. There's little contact with the rest of the world, and when her dad visits, she scarcely will see him through a metal shade. In the early evening when the 3 sisters are going not too far off, Lurco sees them stroll by and Fernanda begins shouting at him again for looking, trailed by Ginevra tossing turnips at him. At first Alessandra is stunned, however at that point she begins hollering affronts as well and breaking Lurco's things as a method for managing her internal dissatisfactions. Poor Lurco can remain all the way down as the 3 young ladies take it out on him, spitting on him and calling him a Jew. In a little while, Father Tommaso is passing on the religious community to sell the weaving around and Lurco approaches him to make sense of he's burned out on being abused, so he stops. In a palace, not a long way from that point, Master Bruno finds that his significant other is laying down with the worker Macedo. When Bruno goes into the room, Macedo gets away from through the window and runs back to the workers' quarters, where he claims to be sleeping. Bruno chooses to trim a piece of Macedo's hair to distinguish him in the first part of the day, not having any desire to make a scene before the others. After Bruno leaves, Macedo utilizes a similar blade to trim a piece of hair from each and every worker in the room. The following morning, no one comprehends what occurred and Bruno can do nothing with the exception of advise everybody to get a legitimate hairstyle. In a little while, Bruno's better half methodologies Macedo, needing to proceed with their issue. Macedo attempts to overlook her, yet she compels him to kiss her. This is seen by Bruno, who sends the watchman to kill Macedo. Unnerved, the worker promptly takes off and figures out how to lose the watchman by entering the woods. Close to the stream he tracks down Tommaso, who as opposed to selling the weaving, he's become inebriated and unintentionally dropped every one of the textures in the water. Macedo assists him with recovering a couple of things and assembled the truck back, so Tommaso says thanks to him by offering a spot to remain the evening. At night, they stay in Tommaso's shack and offer some food and beverages. Macedo likewise utilizes the opportunity to admit his transgressions, and Tommaso is stunned to find out about a few wicked demonstrations he didn't realize even existed. At the point when Macedo says he needs to begin once again as a decent man and that he's being pursued, Tommaso gets a thought. The following day, Tommaso carries Macedo to the religious community and presents him as the new jack of all trades, yet Macedo is claiming to be hard of hearing quiet. At the point when Maria gets some information about the textures, Tommaso lies and says he was burglarized. Macedo before long beginnings working and Ginevra and Fernanda promptly notice his presence, turning out to be extremely inquisitive about him. In a little while, Alessandra is attempting to show another fledgling the community's daily practice, yet Fernanda continues hindering their direction by professing to clear. While Alessandra requests a clarification, Macedo shows up to chip away at the wall and grins at them. Fernanda promptly blows a gasket and snatches a hatchet to compromise him, believing he's a gatecrasher. Fortunately Alessandra brings Maria, who makes sense of things before it raises. Subsequently, Fernanda has a great time shouting into Macedo's evidently hard of hearing ears, while Maria lets Alessandra know that the weaving was taken, so work will be multiplied to compensate for it. Alessandra presently works with a peaceful old sister, which just makes what is happening seriously discouraging. In her disappointment, Alessandra unintentionally breaks her weaving outline. So she takes it to Macedo to fix it. Fernanda and Ginevra watch her from a far distance, believing it's dubious Alessandra is meeting with a person in private. While Macedo fixes the casing, Alessandra utilizes the potential chance to tirade and cry about her circumstance, which Macedo views as irritating, yet he needs to imagine he can't hear her. Later in the early evening, it's the ideal opportunity for admission. Ginevra is apprehensive and tells Father Tommaso that she ate a turnip from the nursery without sharing before, at long last admitting she's been having debased contemplations. At the point when it's Fernanda's move, she attempts to duplicate Ginevra's admission, so Tommaso needs to reprimand her for keeping an eye on them and for missing the requests with a similar jackass excuse. Anyway, Fernanda demands she has no different sins. That evening, Fernanda assists her companion Marta with slipping into the religious circle. They take the mass wine and take it to Alessandra's room, where they persuade her to get intoxicated together. They have a great time that they get excessively clearly, and Ginevra approaches wine, yet they simply drag her in and make her beverage with them. In the end, Marta causes Alessandra and Ginevra to concede they've never been with a man, so she shares a few accounts of how brilliant it is, including the detail of utilizing the plant belladonna to be more appealing. After Alessandra nods off, Fernanda and Marta begin kissing and attempt to bring Ginevra into it. Ginevra dissents, so Fernanda takes her to her room, just to wind up going through the night together. The following day, Alessandra presents to Macedo a cloth she weaved and utilizes it to wipe his perspiration. She additionally assists him with the planting, which causes her to feel hot, so she removes her shroud. The second gets tense, then out of nowhere they begin kissing, which prompts Macedo to push Alessandra on the ground to do the grimy. At that point the chime begins ringing and Alessandra gets terrified, so she drives Macedo and takes off. Later during the requests, Fernanda sees Alessandra has soil under her nails. A while later, Ginevra and Fernanda are doing the washing and Ginevra attempts to examine what they did the previous evening, however Fernanda quiets her down. Then, at that point, Alessandra drops by to wash her cover, which the others find dubious in light of the fact that she washes nothing. Subsequent to making sense of she got it filthy with Macedo, she hears how much work washing is and chooses to pass on the cover for Ginevra to do it, all things considered. When Alessandra is gone, an envious Fernanda leaves, also saying she'll clean the basement. Ginevra completes the washing alone, however when she checks the basement, Fernanda isn't there. In the interim Fernanda meets with Marta, who makes a mixture with belladonna and applies it to Fernanda's eyes to make them widen. They likewise utilize a touch of blood to add a variety to her cheeks. Behind the plants, Ginevra observes the vast majority of the interaction. Then Marta and Fernanda track down Macedo and utilize a blade to cause him to do the messy with the two of them simultaneously. While they have some good times, Ginevra finds the pot of belladonna and comes searching for them, however they're as of now finished and putting on an act. Ginevra contemplates whether their night together made a difference to Fernanda, who says it was for no reason in particular, and gets some information about it. Later at night, Macedo lets Tommaso know that he's really partaking in his time here and plans on remaining for quite a while. They're out of nowhere hindered by Maria, so Macedo rapidly stows away while Tommaso removes her on a walk. The following day, while Maria and Tommaso get the diocesan for an investigation, Macedo slithers through a window to slip into Alessandra's room and do the grimy. While they're in it, the old partner sister comes in and doesn't see them. However, Tommaso can't resist the urge to revile when he sees her. Alessandra is stunned to hear him talk, yet before she can face him about it, they hear individuals coming. Tommaso conceals under the bed while Alessandra hurries to work, fixing her garments, all that can be expected. The cleric and Maria drop by and see everything is all together, so whenever they're gone, Tommaso gets away through the window. A short time later, the minister checks the bookkeeping books, seeing something peculiar about the deals of the textures made by Maria and Tommaso designing numbers conceal the burglary. Out of nowhere, they're interfered with by Ginevra, who needs to tell on Fernanda. Maria quickly hauls her away to talk in private, however she doesn't take Ginevra's accounts of jackasses and liquor truly. Following a monotonous day of work, Ginevra runs over a dozing Macedo, and enticement at long last wins her over. She conceals in the basement to make some belladonna elixir, yet rather than placing it in her eyes she drinks it since she didn't see the custom well. Then, at that point, she utilizes an excessive amount of blood on her cheeks and removes her cloak, which makes her look disturbed. In the interim, Alessandra goes up against Macedo about his talking, however they hear somebody coming, so Alessandra stows away while Macedo claims to be sleeping. Abruptly Ginevra comes in and kisses Macedo, however she rapidly pulls back since it feels altogether different. Because of the impacts of the belladonna, Ginevra admits reality,